Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Northeast Hoopcast. I'm Logan Pronto, and today I'm joined by
Spencer Aronson.
How we doing, Spencer?
What's going on, man? Appreciate you for having me.
I appreciate you being here, man.
Of course.
Looking at your bio and getting some information on you, I noticed that you come from a family that basketball runs through. You know, obviously your brother, which we'll mention later, but also your dad. All three of you played D3 basketball. Just growing up, talk about the impact of being in a sports family.
Basketball has been in my life since I was a baby. My dad's been a huge fan of it for a while time. He put a ball in our hands, me and my brother, when we were probably 3 years old. He played at UMass Dartmouth, so just going to high school games, college games, ever since I was a young kid, we've always been like a huge fan of basketball. So shout out to him for making me fall in love with the game at an early age. Shout out to my brother too for pushing me to be who I am today. So definitely been a crazy experience. It feels like yesterday we just started like playing in the driveway and stuff like that, but you know, now we're here. He's done now, still going. I got 2 more years left. So it's been one hell of a ride for sure.
Mm-hmm. And obviously some other sports were played throughout that household. Just talk about, you mentioned obviously you play in the backyard. What was the impact of your dad and your brother?
Me and my brother used to get into I was the one with the temper at a young age, so me and my brother would get into like little fights all the time. This is crazy. I would like throw rocks at him and stuff. My dad would have to come out and kind of be like, "Yo, what are you guys doing?" And just like being out there, like pretending we're playing the big games and stuff. My dad would sometimes come to the park with us and be like, "Oh, you gotta go game speed, pretend it's like the last shot." So all that has a huge impact on the way I play today. So yeah, that's definitely been a huge part.
And then talk about a little bit as you get older. You went to high school at Catholic Memorial. Just talk about how you came into high school, with like that competitive nature.
Yeah, definitely going to CM, because CM is a big basketball school in Massachusetts for sure. Me and my dad and brother used to go to they call it like Mass Madness games. We go to that at a young age, so I was like, I want to play in this environment so bad in front of like the whole state. So just doing that was awesome. In my mindset, going to high school, I started off in my public high school, small town, and just like getting out of there, and it was nice just to meet other people and stuff like that. It was a great experience, and yeah, it was awesome.
And you mentioned that it's a big basketball school. You had a teammate, and I believe his name is Curtis Henderson.
Yeah.
Hartford guy now. Just talk about his play style and how you guys met in high school.
Yeah, he was right when I showed up to see him. I knew Kurt before I went to Catholic Memorial, just from the whole basketball circuit in Mass. He brought me in, like I was part of the team for a few years. He was one of the best players I ever played with for sure. And me and him were a great backcourt. He would drive to the lane, obviously. I shoot my threes, so he would get me open threes all the time, so it was perfect to play with him. He was a perfect match for me. And shout out him to wherever he goes. He's in the transfer portal right now, so wherever he goes, I wish the best for him.
Mm-hmm. Are you guys still in touch a lot?
Yeah, we're still in touch. We keep in touch a little bit. We'll check in on each other once here and there. But he's a really good kid. Shout out him. Brockton, good kid.
Mm-hmm. It wasn't only basketball that you played in high school. You played football as well.
Right.
2-time state champion.
Right.
Just briefly mention like what your experience with football was like.
Yeah, football was definitely I honestly worked out for football more than I did for basketball, which was pretty crazy. But my public high school town was huge into football. So just doing that, we had like 6 a.m. lifts over the summer and stuff like that, which was really good, which would put me in shape for basketball, obviously. And just getting that competitive nature from football and then being able to translate it to a basketball court was awesome. And a lot of people said I was better at football. I don't know about that, but we'll see. I don't know. We'll see.
You mentioned the competitiveness, a bit of physicality too,
Yeah.
that you can take from football and bring that to basketball.
100%.
Always be ready for that physical game.
Okay.
What'd you play in football?
I played cornerback, and then on offense, I was kind of like a Swiss Army knife. I played a little bit of wide receiver, quarterback, running back, played a little bit of everything. Taysom Hill, kind of. The Saints, kind of like that. That was my comparison.
Now, kind of switching it back to basketball, in the AAU scene. I know you played for Middlesex Magic, one of the better programs in the Northeast. Just talk about some of your experiences playing for that team.
Yeah, so Magic was, I think, they're probably the best program around. Mike Crotty's one of the best guys you'll ever meet. He knows everybody, every college coach ever. He's got the game down to a science, so shout out him. And I finished my last season with Rise Above, who was also a great program, which I love to be a part of. But the whole AAU circuit was awesome. You get to meet people from different towns and stuff like that I still talk to this day. So AAU and Magic was just unbelievable. It felt like, honestly, Magic is, I would compare it to like a college kind of like that. So if there's any younger kids watching this, I would definitely try to get your name out there for Middlesex Magic. Great experience, great people. It's a whole family matter and stuff like that. So that was a good experience.
Did you play with any guys that are maybe at higher levels or at D3?
Yeah. So I played with Tyler Cole. He was Big East Player of the Year in Marquette. Him and my dad played at UMass Dartmouth together, so I've known him for probably since I was like 8 years old. And honestly, shout out him because nobody thought that he would be doing what he's doing right now. He was one of my favorite players to play with, kind of like Kurt. He'd get into a lane, I would get my open freeze, and it looks pretty on my part, but it was all them. So I played with a lot of good players. Definitely, he's probably the top one now.
And what are some tournaments or places that you went for AAU that you'll never forget?
Probably the Florida trip. When I played for Middlesex Magic, we went to Florida, and that was when me and Tyler were on the same team, a bunch of other guys too, and we got to stay like a whole kind of resort thing, drive around golf carts and stuff. It honestly felt fate. But just doing that, even the off the court stuff was like the best part about one of those trips, I think. Obviously the games were a blast, but just being to hang out with the guys and going out to dinner with all them and stuff was a blast. So that was a great experience too.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah.
90% or half of AAU is just chilling with the guys and playing games.
Exactly.
It's something. Those trips are something you remember.
Oh yeah, 100%.
And now, kind of moving into Endicott, that's obviously where you went straight out of high school. What were some of the first bit of contact you had with Coach Betancourt and his staff?
Definitely, he was a great guy. Me and him gelled together really well. He was also a basketball player, played at Bucknell, and really great guy. So we connected really well. I had a couple buddies that were there, so it was a good experience at first, and then kind of didn't really focus on basketball as much as I wanted to. So like here's a totally different scene for basketball wise. Everybody's locked in. The culture's completely different, and I'm not throwing shade at Endicott at all, but just a whole different experience here. Great group of guys here, so yeah. But it was a great experience while I was there for sure. Loved everybody part of the team and everything like that.
And you come in, I believe your freshman year there was COVID, right?
Correct, yeah.
Just talk about like the impact of having more free time and
yeah, definitely. It was definitely weird having all that free time. We only had, I think it was 7 games or something, and I just ended up sitting out because I wanted to have another year of eligibility, and I didn't want to just play 7 games with a mask on, with no fans and stuff like that. So it was definitely weird, but it was good to just get in the right headspace and start working out again. So I didn't play my senior year of high school, so it was good to just start working out again, lose some weight, get back to basketball and stuff like that. So that was good.
Yeah, and you come in that next year as a sophomore. Played in a bit more games, obviously COVID not being there helped out.
Yeah.
You had 17 against, I believe, Wentworth and Gordon.
Yeah.
Did that give you a lot of confidence?
Yeah, it definitely gave me a lot of confidence just to like be back and playing organized basketball again because I haven't played. It was like 2 years since I played, so just felt like the whole world lifted off my shoulders to finally get back to doing what I love. So that was just a great experience, and shout out to my teammates for like putting me in the spot to do all that stuff. So yeah.
Yeah, and you mentioned teammates. You already knew some people when you
Yeah.
came in, and then obviously they helped you out when you were playing. Who were some of those guys?
My buddy Mark Barrett, shout out Boogie. He's a funny one. I've known him since we played at even like 7th grade. Me and him we planned to kind of go to Endicott together, and I would push him, he would push me, we would talk, shit to each other all the time, but, so that was a great experience with him. My other roommate, Drew, was a great kid too, got to meet him, his brother was the all-time leading scorer at Endicott. So all those guys, the older guys, Ty Vicko, Cam Holmesy, Billy Elshman, all those guys, they knew like my situation that I didn't play my senior year, and they were like, yeah, we're gonna get you back, because they knew what I could be and stuff like that, so, all great guys.
And you talk about Drew Brown, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I got a chance to play against him when I was sophomore in
Yeah.
high school too. So very interesting stuff. Obviously, his brother, one of the all-time greats, not only Endicott but Pelham High School as well. another basketball family,
Oh,
of
yeah,
course.
100%.
And so how was, with COVID in mind, not being able to play your senior year as well in high school, what was the jump from high school to college? Was it a bit easier?
Not, like, physically, I was always pretty physical, but the thing that, like, I think was the biggest jump was IQ-wise, just, like, understanding concepts better. Like, you couldn't just break, it wasn't like AU anymore, you couldn't just break people down and actually be able to, like, come off screens and stuff like that. So just, like, even though physically I could play, it was the mental part of the game that I think I had to work on a lot. And obviously not getting, like, upset with myself after I miss a shot or something like that. So just kind of taking a step back, watching podcasts, like watching film and stuff like that, breaking it down and understanding like it's more than just like putting the ball in the hoop. It's like the whole preparation for it and all that. So that was definitely like something I had to learn as I got older.
And then, of course, your sophomore year comes to an end. What were the original thoughts of you wanting to transfer out of Endicott?
Just wasn't a great fit basketball-wise. Social, I think I was getting a little too caught up in the social scene. Kind of fell out of love with like what I really came to college to do. Like I love basketball and like obviously I got to do school too, but kind of falling out of like my place in the basketball court. And then came up here, did my visit, and I saw how like special it was. Obviously these guys had a crazy run last year. They won the LEC off the buzzer beater. My dad was actually at the game with all his like UMass starting buddies, so he was like, Keene's got a good team, like maybe we should go there. And I was like, yeah, why not? Fell in love with the campus, fell in love with all the teammates and stuff like that. So obviously knew Spence American show him, showed up Spence summer runs. So yeah, it's a great fit.
And you mentioned Spencer Merkin obviously as a connection. Did you have any other connections come in?
Honestly, not really. I just, of course, like I knew the guys' names from like AE and stuff like that, but Spence was probably the closest one that I knew here, and he was obviously edging me to go here and stuff like that because we've known each other for a while. So yeah.
And was Keene an option for you when you were coming out of high school?
Yeah, it was not actually. I had a few like Division II offers, so I was hoping to get like a Stonehill or like one of those NE10s, and then fell through, which was no big deal at all. And then I fell in love with Endicott, but I never talked to Keene, and then I'm honestly glad it all worked out how it is because now I'm here and I'm happy. So yeah.
What about other schools that were looking at you when you were going to transfer?
Yeah, it was here, Emmanuel, UMass Dartmouth too, which was crazy. Obviously, like they're kind of rivals with Keene. That's where my dad went, but I had to go with the Owls. But yeah, those were kind of like my big three, honestly.
And obviously, you made a decision to come to Keene to play basketball and be a part of something that was building up over here. What were some of your first moments with the squad?
First moments was, well, I got to work at summer camp with like all the little kids around. I just felt like the Keene community automatically, like, it almost felt like we were like NBA players or something. I was like, all right, this is crazy. You know, all the little kids running around. And then Spence American had great things to say about the team and stuff like that. Got to play pick up with the guys. I felt like I've been here for like 2 years, but when I started playing with the guys, they brought me in like I was part of the team. So shout out to all of them for like bringing me in and making me feel part of something.
And it's definitely something I noticed as the year went along is the community, you know, coming up to you guys after games, getting autographs, all that type of stuff. So it's funny that you mentioned that you felt like an NBA player.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny. I'll show up the little kids that come to all the games. It's funny. Great experience.
And what was the transition like coming out of Endicott into Keene State?
Definitely. I mean, it was definitely weird social. Like, obviously, I didn't know that many people here, so socially, I was like, oh, I got to restart. You know, meet new people, all that stuff. But all the guys on the team brought me in. The whole Keene community, everybody here, like, was great. Teachers, students, like, I got to meet a lot of people. Like, not even just people that play basketball. So, just like, I don't know. I just felt like it was the right spot for me. I just came in. I felt like everybody was treating me the right way and all that. So, felt good.
Yeah, it's a lot about the culture and the system here as well.
Awesome.
And that's built by a couple of guys that early on in your first season were named captains, Jeff and Octavio. Just talk to me what it was like to first meet them and then to actually play with them.
Yeah, I mean, meeting them, I got to play with Jeff in the summer a few times, and I got to meet them in the summer a few times, and I knew they were unbelievable. They should not be playing D3, obviously, they're unbelievable. And they just brought me in. They're like, yo, like we know that you guys can cut on straight. We're gonna get it. Like we all set goals with each other. So like they were holding us all accountable. I would hold them accountable, and they were just great leaders on and off the court.
And another guy that I don't know if you met during the summer or not, but Nate Seal, just his intensity and his willingness to win. Have you ever played with a guy like that?
No, I have not. Well, him and Kirk kind of remind me a little bit. They're both explosive, quick guards. But Nate's a silent killer. He doesn't say much on the court, but when he does say it, everybody will listen to him. And when it's game time, it's game time. You can see in all the big games we had this year, Middlebury, tournament games, he would always step up and just be like, he just put us on our back and be like, I got you guys. And be like, all right, go ahead, Nate, you know. Quick as lightning, just shout it out.
And it's crazy to me, especially in that Tufts game. I mean, they have guys that are like 6'7", point guards, and he just didn't care.
Oh yeah,
just
not
gets
care.
to his
Doesn't not care.
And definitely a guy who's underrated when it comes to acknowledgments.
Oh yeah, big time.
For sure.
Big time.
And then a guy that, halfway through the season came in, maybe you were a bit familiar with him from your Endicott days, as Keene Dupree.
Yeah.
What was it like when you first heard that he was coming?
I was very excited because I knew, obviously coming from the same conference, it was pretty cool, but like Nichols and Endicott were kind of rivals at the time, so me and him would always joke around with each other the first few weeks, be like, oh, I hate Nichols, he'd say I hate Endicott, all that, but we knew we were part of a big team, we both wanted to get a national championship. So that was awesome to meet him. He's a great kid, and great basketball player too. Can lock up, freak athlete. One of the funniest kids I'll ever meet, definitely. So shout out him.
And then a guy that's leaving the team this year is Jared Seashon. A lot of people say that he was the big brother to some of these guys over here. How quickly did it take you to notice that?
I also met him over the summer, and me and him had some great conversations. He is like the big brother of the team. And it's going to be sad that he's leaving. Everybody calls him Unc. So he's one hell of a kid, and his work ethic is like Division I work ethic. He's in the gym probably all day. Even now the season's over, he's not even playing anymore. He's in the gym working out, still playing pickup with us. Comes to like all the team meetings still. He kind of set the culture. He's one of the older dudes, so he kind of set the culture for all of us to like follow his lead and stuff. So shout out him. I mean, him had like great conversations. Like I said, I would call him big brother, like my big brother and stuff like that. So shout out Jared. Gonna miss him next year for sure.
Mm-hmm. And what a story that kid has too.
Walk on. Oh yeah. He's my dad came to the Indiana trip and he got to talk to Jared. He's like, I want you to surround yourself with that kid. Like he's a good kid. And I was like, yeah, I already do. So no worries. Mm-hmm. But yeah, shout out him.
On and off the court for sure.
Oh yeah.
And then now, kind of just going to compare Keene State to Endicott. System-wise, what are the similarities and differences?
System-wise, I mean, I think we both like to score a lot of points. I think Keene, like we're really focused on defense too, more than Endicott was, I'd say. And I just think we got a lot of dudes that can go for 20 plus every game, where it's like, at Endicott wasn't really like that. Like we don't care. Like here, we don't care who goes off at one game. We're like, all right, we can have 0 points this game. We can have 20 next game. We'll have 20. It was 0. Like I just think it's nice that like everybody's so selfless on the team. We all understand the national championship goal that we want to do, and everybody's bought into it. There's no like outcasts on our team from top guy to the bottom guy. There's no outcasts at all. So we're all locked in.
Yeah, obviously, kind of just going to reiterate what you said. Like a lot of the system is the personnel that you have.
Yeah.
And it's different everywhere, especially at the Division III level.
100%.
And then you mentioned the goals of obviously getting a national championship, and a lot of that is also personnel. How long did it take you to know that goal and to buy into it?
I think honestly, when I came from my visit, Keene was like, he put it on us. He was like, all right, like our goal is to win a national championship. There's no like, I mean, if you want to set a goal, you want to set like a big goal so you can keep working hard and hard and hard. So everybody, like we all would talk about it when we were hanging out. We were like, we can really do this. We can really do this. We have the talent to do it. It's just it's honestly all up to us, hard work and all that stuff. So it was definitely put on to me like right away, right when I came here.
Mm-hmm. And Coach Kane, obviously,
oh yeah, Kane, man.
He's a passionate guy for sure
yeah.
when it comes to the game of basketball.
Oh, yeah.
What are the style differences in the way that he coaches versus Coach Betancourt coaches?
Kane's definitely more
of like the riled up, like it's almost like he's playing, and Endicott is more kind of laid back. So, I mean, he would get riled up obviously sometimes, but Keene's really invested hope. Like we're shooting, the gym will come and talk to us for 10 minutes, just ask us how school is, like what we need to work on, stuff like that. He's like, there's no off season for him. Obviously, he treats it like it's a Division I program here. He's all over the place. He's on the phone. He's talking to everybody. He's like everywhere I go, I swear I see him. I don't know if he has a tracker on me or something, but I swear I see that guy everywhere I go.
He's a talker too.
Oh yeah, he's a talker. Shout out Keene, I like love him to death, but he can talk. He can talk for sure.
Is there ever like an adjustment period between coaches?
Not really, no. I mean, I love, like, like all the coaches I've had, honestly, over my career, I've had a great relationship, except for my public high school, probably, but, yeah, it's all been good, yeah.
And then, how about your role? You know, I've seen a lot this year where you're running in transition. Obviously, you're a shooter first, so you want to find that spot. How long did it take to adjust into the role for Keene State?
So, I mean, again, like I said, I didn't play for so long. Like I played 8 games at Endicott my sophomore year, so I haven't played in so long. But it was just good to get back out there and whatever I had to do for the team, I would do. Hit threes. Definitely feel like I can add a little bit more to my game and be like, obviously, if when you're done, I'll be more comfortable playing next year. But just like find my role right away, and like they put me in a place where I could succeed. So if I had to hit shots, I had to hit shots. If I had to play defense, whatever I had to do for the team. So, yeah.
And a lot of what comes into finding your role is the comfort and the relationship. Obviously, you build relationships over the summer, and that helped a lot.
Yeah, that was a big time for me.
And then it's kind of crazy too, because game-wise, you were essentially like a freshman this year.
Yeah, exactly.
What was it like to come into that WestCon game? The first one, of course, hit a few shots, very clutch ones, of course. Being the new guy, was that very important for you?
Yeah, that was definitely very important for me, confidence-wise, and just like finally get like obviously the atmosphere here is unbelievable. It's like a Division I atmosphere. So just like hitting that shot was like that's like the stuff you do in like the driveway, you know, like you practice it and stuff like that. So just doing that was crazy. Like it was an out-of-body experience. So that was definitely like, all right, I'm at Keene State, you know what I mean? So that was definitely a big one for me.
Yeah, and of course, went back and watched that shot quite a few times.
Oh yeah, had to. Oh, I still watch it. I have to. Keep your confidence sometimes.
And speaking of confidence, you were the post-game interview after that game, of course, and I asked you kind of a similar question about you kind of had a shaky start in the first half. You come out in the second half, it's 6 or 7 threes. I don't even remember.
Yeah.
What's it like for the mental aspect as a shooter? Just a short memory, or?
Yeah, just honestly short memory. I get in my head a lot, but obviously my teammates and coaches are like, Spence, you gotta keep shooting, keep shooting. Obviously I just keep shooting, so if I miss it, it's whatever. Next shot's the most important. I'm kind of like, I just got into golf this year, so the golf aspect's kind of working on my mental game too, so if I like have a bad hole, I'll be like, all right, so shooting a 3-pointer, like next hole is a new one, so that's been good too.
It's funny.
I'm not good at golf though, so I'm terrible. I'm getting there. I might be good in like 3 years though.
Yeah, when I first started too, it was like you don't even want to play.
Oh yeah, that's I literally like freak out, like you know, like slam my class back. But no, it's been a blast.
Definitely too.
Oh yeah.
Gotta push your mental aspect as well.
Oh yeah.
And then kind of, you move further down the season, you start to realize some more goals. Obviously, you talked about how Coach Keene was pushing, the national championship. But to have the undefeated record in the LEC, what did that mean for you as the first year as part of the program?
That was crazy because I think there was obviously a record that we set, and it was just like, geez, like we're gonna remember this for the rest of our lives. We obviously, we kind of realized it there, but it's like, wow, we really just like set history like this team. So that was a great experience, and like it just made us. I feel like it made us more hungry. Like we want more. We want to win a national championship. Like that. We had like small victories over the season, but we would try to like be like content and be like, all right, we know we expect this. You know what I mean? So. And then we're like, our main goal is national championship. Once we get that, then we'll be satisfied. So just like, obviously when LSU was crazy though, like just going undefeated, it was like, all right, we're running this league for the next so.
Yeah, and of course, when you go undefeated, it maybe seems like a little bit easy, but
yeah, no.
Talk about the difference between the LEC and the CCC.
LEC is definitely more like physical, better athletes, more defense. The CCC is like a lot of like run and gun, like shoot threes, not much as like more. There's a lot more athletes in like I feel like the defensive scheme is a lot like more preparation in the LEC. And that's what I would say. Just defense wise, I think defense is a lot better here. It's more like the game is more intense and physical. It wasn't as physical as CCC, which like I think is a good part for my game. So.
And you're used to that physicality. You know, we mentioned the football.
Oh, yeah,
of course.
100%.
And then a bit more chippy, of course. Had a few games this year and last year, so definitely more physical, as I've noticed watching all year. And then you kind of get later in the season, getting into the playoffs. What was it like to win the LEC this year? Was that your first basketball championship?
That was, I mean, we won like my conference championship in high school a few times, but that was like my first like in college, like have the whole like award ceremony, so that felt great, and we were all just so happy for each other because we know from the summertime we had like, or not the summertime, like the beginning of the year we had 6 a.m. runs like 3 times a week, so we were like, all right, all that blood, sweat, and tears and all that, like finally can get some weight lifted off our shoulders and stuff like that. And then right after the ceremony, we're like, all right, obviously we're excited, but like we got the tournament to worry about now, national championship time, so. But that was I'll remember that moment for the rest of my life, undefeated team, forever, first undefeated team ever in the LEC, so that was awesome.
And you talked earlier about how you feel like it's a D1 atmosphere here. Talk about the atmosphere in that game a little bit.
The atmosphere in that game was crazy again, a lot of ups and downs. I didn't play as good as I wanted to, which was totally fine to say. I mean, Westcon did not like me because I would usually do pretty well against them, so they kind of boxed me one week, didn't let me catch the ball. Came out of the game, and then everybody, it was like a movie, honestly. Like we were down for a little bit, and somehow just like I feel like all of us knew, like in our hearts, we're like, all right, we're gonna win this game no matter. Like it's a turnover at the end of the game, like somehow we're gonna pull this off. It doesn't matter. So, and now we did. Jarek had a huge game. Everybody stepped up. Jarek really showed him senior year. Can't wait anything better than that. So. Everybody played really well that game.
It's definitely the best game that I've seen here since I've been at Keene State.
And then having all the fans rush on, like that's just like, it doesn't get better. That's why you play. It doesn't get better than that. So I'll remember that for the rest of my life for sure.
And quite a turnaround it was, of course. And then you mentioned in the previous question, you had to turn around and kind of get ready for the NCAA tournament now. For you, what was that like preparing? Were there any nerves? How much excitement was there?
Yeah, there's definitely a lot of excitement in watching like the selection show. Yeah, the selection show, and I see like obviously we're playing the team we played for Baruch, however we pronounce it. The team that we played first round, and I saw my brothers in our quad, and I'm like, I get a FaceTime call from my brother like while I'm watching. He's like, yo, no way. I'm like, no way. So that was just like crazy. My heart dropped. I was like, finally, I get to play this good. And but just building up to it, we knew like I was like, this isn't like this game's not about me. Like we got to win both these games, blah blah blah, so stuff like that. And it was crazy.
What was it like to obviously host and then step on the floor for the first time versus Baruch?
It was awesome. I mean, we obviously earned the host, so I think we should have got 2 rounds, but it is what it is. We're gonna have a better strength schedule next year. But that was awesome to have the whole school pop out, like have the whole NCAA, like everything set up in the gym. It was a crazy experience. It's like, damn, we're really hosting it. Like we're here. And I've always dreamed about playing like the NCAA tournament, whether it's Division 1 or Division 3. Yeah, great experience.
And it's a dream for a lot of people that play the sport. When you see that on TV, you're like, oh yeah, I want to do that for sure.
Yeah, 100%.
And to add on to that, obviously you mentioned Tufts was in the group. You win the first game. Tufts wins their first game. What was it like to prepare for that team?
That was it was definitely crazy, just knowing going to my brother, and I've obviously been watching them for years. So I was helping coach. I was like, this kid does this, this kid does this, this kid does this. I knew some of their plays, obviously, like that. But just knowing that, like I sent my brother a text. I was like, I'm not texting you for like 24 hours right now. Like we're not friends right now. So just having the whole experience was hilarious. My parents were like, all right, we don't know who to root for, but I guess either way they came out winners. So, but yeah, that was a life-changing experience for sure.
And then even more on top of that, you get to play your brother, and then he was, 15 points away from getting 1,000, ended up getting that in the first half. Just talk about that moment for the two of you.
That was, that was awesome. He was 1,000 point. He dreamed a 3 in my face too, gave me a little elbow, some big bro stuff. But I'm so happy for him. He had a great career. I'm happy that he played as good as he did here too, like in front of everybody. Those are my brother and stuff like that. But we'll remember that for the rest of our lives. I'll probably be at the dinner table in like 30 years, and I'll tell my kids I beat him. He can say he had 24 hours. I don't really care. We got the dog, so.
And I got to watch him in both of those games, and something that sticks out to me is that type of guy, doesn't have the greatest game against, I believe it was Weiner, and comes out against Keene State, and it's almost like he can't miss. So to watch that happen, it's like, this is a legit basketball player in my mind. And then, I had Mason on here for the last episode, and he said something kind of crazy, like before the game, he went out to the huddle, and you were like, we're going to win this game based on the warm-ups. Talk me through what you saw. Was it more the way Tufts warmed up, or was it the way...
I think, we warm up, we obviously get our music going, we're going to get pumped up, and then we usually do our little circle at the middle of the court, and then they came and tried to do their circle in the middle of the court. I'm like, oh, that's the wrong thing to do against us, man, come on. And then after that, it was just, we played like a bunch of dogs, we gritted it out. They were way bigger than us. They had like 7-footers, 6'8", 6'8". They were huge, so we just had to battle through adversity and just play scrap and do everything that we had to do. Execute down the stretch.
Yeah, you talk about that height, obviously. Not only Nate Seau, but for Jeff too, 7-footers, nothing to slouch about going up against. They had several guys, the McLaren guys like 6'6", Thorner 6'7", so it was crazy in height difference, but obviously you gritted it out, got the win.
Big time.
And then you have to go to Swarthmore. You already mentioned that you were kind of disappointed in that. What was it like, some of those other guys already had won a game there. What was it like for you going to play?
It was definitely, I was really excited to go because the coach was like, this is like perfect. Like, it was almost like a remake of like a movie or something. Like, they were like, all right, you get to play the same team that lost to that beat last year. We get to win, if we can win 2 games, we're in the Final Four. So it's kind of just cool going there with all the guys. And I was like, all right, everybody probably feels comfortable here. Warm-ups, we were all shooting really well. Obviously, didn't translate to the game, which stinks. But obviously had a few guys unhealthy, which is still no excuse. Other guys should have stepped up. But overall, great experience going there. Obviously stinks to lose, but I think all the guys coming back will learn from it. It's like, all right, even though we had such a great year, like, we got to get to a different level. We got to work even harder and not take anything for granted. Like, every game, we got to step on and think we got an X on our chest. People are going to come and try to take it from us. So definitely, learning from that was huge for our team. Just losing that game.
Yeah. Now the next step is to build off of it, of course, for the next season. And then kind of just wrapping the whole season together. Coming into this program, is that a place you expected to be?
Honestly, just the way that everybody carried themselves, our coach talked about it, I expected us to make a little run in this NCAA tournament. Obviously, our main goal, which I'm hoping for next year, I think we got a really great shot at it, is win a national championship. And it all comes down to just work and preparation and being locked in and playing with each other and being selfless and all that. So I think we all have a good head on our shoulders now. We've already, since the season ended, we've all been in the gym playing, working out, so we're all still hungry for the national championship. So I think losing that game as bad as it was I think a great learning lesson for us as a team. So I'm excited to see what we bring next year for sure.
And I'm excited too. You have 3 straight seasons, or there's a couple seasons in a row where you're trying to build off stuff. Even if you want to count the season before that, they lost in the LEC chip. Now, back-to-back NCAA tournament appearances, and then you mentioned next year you're going to have a bit better strengths of schedule, so it's very exciting stuff. Same personnel back, of course, besides Jarek, so very excited for that. And you briefly mentioned that you guys have been playing together so far this offseason. Just going to get into what an offseason looks like for you. What are some things you've worked on over the past few years?
Me personally, probably just adding more to my game. Obviously, I shoot the 3-ball pretty well, but being able to catch it, and if guys are running off the line, get to the mid-range or start being able to make plays and stuff like that. Spence Merkin's been working me out a bunch, Nicky's been working me out a bunch. So just like adding more parts to my game that I need to add. And just also being accountable for like each other. Like if there's a dude not in the gym, we'll go up to him and be like, yeah, you haven't been in the gym for like a week, like what are you doing? So everybody's kind of on the same level right now, which is great. We play pickup, which is pretty competitive lifts and stuff. I try to get the most out of everybody. So yeah.
And of course, you want to expand your game. There were some glimpses this year where, you know, I saw you taking it to the hoop a little bit more, getting N1s. I believe it was against EastCon.
Yeah.
Kind of one earlier in the season. It was kind of crazy. You know, you up faked.
Oh yeah.
And then I don't even know what you did, spun or something.
Yeah.
Step back, fade away. You know, obviously improving that part of your game. Since high school, what have you improved on the most?
Probably the mental aspect team. I think I've improved on. I would say a little bit, and being more comfortable with the ball. I wasn't that comfortable with the ball this year, but just getting back to it. Obviously, this offseason I've been working on it a lot, so just being able to break my guy down off the dribble and try to get to the rim and make plays for my teammates and stuff like that. Being able to use screens the right way. Like it's more like I've been watching like Steph Curry and Klay Thompson highlights just to see how they use the screens. Obviously, I'm not those guys, but just to like kind of take notes on some guys like that has been huge. Just the whole like learn like basketball. You gotta, the older you get, everybody's gonna get better. Obviously, skills are only gonna get you so far, so you gotta be smart. And I'm not the craziest athlete, obviously, which stinks, but you know what I mean.
And there's been a couple of times where you mentioned Spence's summer workouts, which during the summer are essentially in your backyard. Have you gone to any?
Oh yeah, I've gone to a bunch, and those are like the best things ever. If you're from the area or you get a chance to go, definitely go. Not even just basketball wise, but meeting people from different parts of the state. Honestly, it's like New England now, so just being there, it's the whole community aspect of it. Everybody's hooping, like everybody gets to meet each other. You haven't seen dudes in like 3 years that you get to see. So that's been crazy, and it's like the highest level pickup probably around here. You got pro guys, you got D1 guys from all divisions that are just, yeah, it's unbelievable.
How important are those games to like improving your skill?
Oh, huge. Like I'm not the greatest on defense. I've been working on it, but being able to guard dudes like Bensley Joseph, he was on Miami, like being able to guard guys like that at those runs gets me like in a whole different. Like if I can stay in front of him, I'm like, all right, I can probably stay in front of someone at this level. So being able to go up against guys that are so much more skilled than me and just play at the higher level is great. Just to like, it shows the weaknesses in my game that I can work on. So I love doing that.
And obviously it's good for competitive nature too. Those runs are no joke. And then take what you do with those runs, like in terms of improving your game and how it translates to runs in the summer with Keene State.
Yeah, definitely just the confidence wise, like hitting shots against guys that are all playing in like a Sweet 16, like the NCAA Division I. I'm just like, all right, like I'm doing this, like raising my confidence level huge. Being able to like dribble guard, like I said, guard guys like that, but obviously I haven't stayed in front of them for only so long, but just, yeah, definitely huge for confidence wise, just knowing that I can play with guys like that, so, yeah.
Yeah, and it's unique too, because you don't obviously get to do that during the regular season, so it's, you know, you go there, you hit some shots, you play defense, and you're like, I can do this.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of just as we wrap things up here, what can we expect from Spencer Aronson in the Keene State House next year?
Big things, I think obviously our goal is the national championship. Personally, I think I'm going to add a lot more to the game, not just three-pointers, so we got a good squad coming in next year. We're all locked in, so I expect big things. I hope everybody else expects big things too, so we're coming for it all next year for sure. Thanks for having me, appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Make sure to look out for not only Spencer Aronson, but the Keene State men's basketball team, as well as stay posted for more Any Hoopcast content. Let's go.
Shout out to you.
Let's go.